welcome to Channel Live. This is Mia from abc.com. So we are having Arthur from Bitmex today. So how do you feel to see Rubini today?
It was absolutely amazing. I had a lot of fun today.
Okay.
It was a great debate, and I think the crowd was really appreciative of what we had to say.
Yeah, that definitely. So back to our topic. So this is the first time I say authors. I know that you used to work for banks, right? So it's kind of funny that Bitcoin is claimed to be like disruptive to the banking systems. How do you become transferred from a banker to a Bitcoiner?
So in 2013, luckily now I lost my job at Citibank. I was fired as a derivatives trader in the ETF space in Hong Kong. And I had heard about Bitcoin on Zero Hedge when it spiked to $250 in April of that year. And now that I had some time on my hands, I decided that I wanted to learn more about it. So I went, researched the white paper, read about Bitcoin, and then I decided that, this is really cool. Let me figure out how I could trade it. So I went around, I discovered the different exchanges at the time. I started trading some futures contracts on one of the small exchanges called ICBit, and started buying some Bitcoin and hedging it and earning arbitrage on MT Gox. So I really just got into the system by trading it, experiencing the financial products that were around at the time, and then sort of trying to learn about how I could add value to the ecosystem.
Oh wow! I think your boss is regretting right now. So actually, so when do you decide to start Bitmex?
In January of 2014, I met my other two co-founders, Ben Dilo and Sam Reed, and I pitched them this idea of doing a Bitcoin-only derivatives platform. And sort of sold them on the idea that there's already spot exchanges out there at the time. Most of the large spot exchanges in 2013 are still here today. But what's really needed to take this industry forward are very liquid derivatives, and the amount of trading volume in the derivatives market vastly surpasses the spot market. So we have a really good opportunity to be early and start this type of exchange. So that's what we started in January 2014. It took us about 11 months to build the first version of Bitmex, and we went live in November of 2014.
Okay, you mentioned your partners, right? So one of the key factors to make a successful company is to find a good partners, right? What kind of criteria you think make a good partner?
Number one is luck, right? So I'm not very well versed in computer science or technology. I knew that I needed to find technical co-founders who, number one, knew how to build a matching engine, number two, knew how to build the web architecture to support people logging onto a website and trading. And through my personal network, I was able to find these two individuals, and luckily they listened to my pitch and they thought it was a good enough idea, and they had a strong interest and belief in Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency industry. So number one is luck, number two, technical competence of your co-founders, and number three, a strong belief in whatever the idea is that you decide to do together.
Yeah, that's very lucky. Actually, in this year, a lot of Chinese big companies, especially in blockchain ring, their partners become leaving the company. So is that a kind of a problem to you, or is that a concern to you?
Well, a startup is chaotic, right? And sometimes you learn things about people when you spend an inordinate amount of time with them. And you'll never be perfect in your hiring practices. But at the end of the day, if you have a strong vision and you have the competency to execute on it, you'll find the right people to associate with.
Okay, so the next question. Actually, the Binance released its futures. They will start this kind of futures trading yesterday. So have that be a threat to you guys?
No, because we have multiple different competitors out there in the space. At the end of the day, it's a perfectly competitive market. There's no barriers to somebody offering a competing product to ours. So we as an organization cannot rest on the success that we have enjoyed in the past. We need to continue to innovate and offer new products and continue to deliver value for our customers, and that in itself is a moat around competition. Because at the end of the day, we have flagship products that trade 5 to 10 billion US dollars a day. Even if you offer something new that copies it, what are you really giving value to customers? Why should they switch from Bitmex to another platform? So we need to continue to innovate, continue to deliver value to customers, and keep our lead in liquidity for derivatives trading.
So what kind of barriers you think that Bitmex have?
Well, number one is liquidity. So we're the most liquid platform in the world. Liquidity is very hard to change, and any large exchange knows that. The the rankings of the top exchanges in crypto haven't really changed that much since 2013 and 2014. And then number two is, company culture. So we strive to take very intelligent people, bring them into Bitmex, bring them into our culture, and create excellent products for the customer. It's impossible to replicate culture just by Control-Z, Control-V. It's an organic process. It takes attention to detail, and that's where we see our edge in the people that make up Bitmex and that drive the products that we bring to the market.
Okay, so that is a funny thing that some of my smartest friends around me, they said that there is maybe a little interesting thing while having the blockchain ring in 3 or 5 years, because they think the progress is kind of slow. So what kind of scenarios you prefer in this kind of blockchain ring, and how long it will take effect in the faster speed?
Well, no one really knows what this industry will be in the next 5 years. If you were in year 2000, would you have predicted Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all these different applications? Probably not. So for anyone to sit here in 2019 and say in 2025, this is what a particular type of blockchain will be able to do, is no business making that prediction. We don't know how this industry will play out. All we know is that if we continue to bring smart people into this ecosystem, new solutions will evolve to solve the problems that customers present.
Also, besides this kind of exchange, is there any blockchain project you think is a good project for the blockchain?
I think privacy coins are something that should be focused on. Increasing the amount of financial privacy in the ecosystem, different ways of cryptography, being able to make transactions anonymous. That's definitely something that I think should be focused on and resources should be devoted to.
Okay, is there any pseudo demands you encounter in the blockchain ring?
Any what?
Is there any you think it's a ridiculous project, but others people believe in that and they believe this kind of fraud and something like that?
I don't really focus much on projects per se. I'm more in the capital markets area. I'm not super technical in terms of my understanding of cryptography and this sort of stuff. So I would probably be the worst person to ask about exciting projects, because even if a project looks exciting, I don't have the ability to determine who's lying and who's not.
So as a capital, so how do you judge this kind of project is good or not? Is there any criteria?
The market price, really. That's the market price, and it's probably how many the developer ecosystem for a particular product. Now, the price in the short term might say that something is really valuable, but on a 2 to 5 year time span, it might be worth 0. So it really depends on your ability to disassociate a short-term, hype-driven pump with long-term economic value being delivered by a particular protocol. So basically that means you need to do your homework and actually read a white paper, actually try to understand what a particular team is trying to accomplish to make better trading decisions.
So if I give you 7 questions, like team, like the project itself, and also the PR ability, stuff like that, so what kind of factor you think is the most important thing?
Product market fit. So are you actually solving a problem that people are actually willing to pay for? A lot of companies think they're solving problems for customers, but the customer actually isn't willing to pay for a company to solve that problem. And in that case, then you're just relying upon financial engineering and VC funds to fund a business that doesn't actually have any customers that are willing to pay.
So do you believe this kind of price pump is a really good strategy to promotion?
For promotion and marketing, yes.
Yeah.
To drive long-term value to customers, who knows?
Yeah, okay. So I've got several questions about the hot issues that people are concerned about. So the first question is about the Libra. So the Facebook releases stablecoin Libra these days, and how do you think of that cryptocurrency? Is that a real cryptocurrency?
Libra is not a cryptocurrency. Libra is a basket of fiat currencies and electronic representation of that. In my view, Libra is Facebook's way to empower financial transactions for the 2+ billion active users that it has across its various social media platforms. And so this form of centralized payment will allow companies to essentially offer financial services to the users, and that can become very powerful.
Oh, okay. So a lot of people question about this kind of Libra is another version of PayPal or WeChat Pay or something like that. Do you think it's right or not?
It depends on how it's used. Tencent obviously has monolithic control over WeChat Pay. The Libra system, Facebook is sort of trying to disassociate itself. There's a foundation, it has various members of the industries that come together and decide how this is managed. So you have the different approaches, but who knows how that's going to end up.
Do you think this kind of Facebook or Libra want to make money out of it? Because I know the Demarcus is a really good executive, right? So, but he didn't say that they want to make money out of it. But I think they didn't make all these kind of cards out. So, do you think is there any profit from this kind of project?
So I think that Facebook will allow financial services like lending, for example.
Okay.
Say you're on Instagram and you see a pair of shoes that you like. Facebook could lend you Libra to purchase shoes with the merchant.
Just like the Alipay.
Right. So financial services inter-app for the social media properties will drive enormous amounts of revenue for Facebook and more financial transactions for the merchants that either probably purchasing ads right now or sponsoring key opinion leaders on these platforms. So it'll increase overall engagement if they're able to lubricate the wheels of finance by lending Libra.
Okay, the next question is about actually the price circle. So the crypto market has been up already since April. What kind of factors you think make this kind of price pump this time?
So number one, the price is down something 80-90%, 20,000 to 3,000. So there's definitely a natural rebound. Nothing goes up or down in a straight line.
Okay.
More importantly, you have a easing cycle from central banks globally, the Fed, the PBOC, the ECB. All the major central banks are embarking or have telegraphed that they will embark on more quantitative easing, more money printing. And at the end of the day, some of that money will end up in crypto. And that is one reason why I think that the markets are starting to rise from the lows of earlier this year.
So some people say that in this kind of price dominance is nothing to do with the retail investor. It's all this kind of institutional investor buying in. You think it's a good sign or bad sign?
I don't believe that any institutional investors are buying Bitcoin in large quantities. This is a retail-led phenomenon. I look at the volumes on the CME relative to all the other exchanges. If institutions really believed in crypto, they would go and buy futures contracts on the CME, and you'd see the open interest explode and trading volumes in the billions of dollars rather than the hundreds of millions of dollars. So institutions can already purchase Bitcoin risk via a trusted institution like the CME, but they're not doing so because it doesn't really offer any value to them or their traditional clients.
Wow, that's mind-blowing. So the last question is about you are clearly a successful entrepreneur already. So is there any advice for this kind of startups who want to start their business?
Number one, the most important thing is find a product or service that people are actually willing to pay real money for. There's obviously a lot of startups who the end game is essentially just raise rounds and rounds of funding from VC funds, and their business doesn't actually deliver any real value to customers because customers aren't willing to pay the real price for the product or service. Now, yes, you can get wealthy doing that possibly if you can IPO at some later stage, but in the majority of cases, you're trading one master, maybe your boss at your job, with a group of VC funds. So if you really want to empower yourself and your company, create real products that people are willing to pay real money for right now.
Yeah, thank you so much today. Thank you, Arthur, for today's interview. We will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.